Hello everyone, I'm coming to you with another video in these very most pivotal times that we live in, and on a personal level and on a national, global level. Everything is being touched and every hidden thing is being revealed. I was up last night. I really do believe that the Spirit of the Most High Yah was upon me, Most High Creator. And the angels were definitely communicating and opening that spiritual part of my third eye to see a couple of things about what is going on today. What is today? Today is, we're still in the beginnings of February, right? And so it is Friday, the 6th. And the Epstein's files from the Department of Justice, DOJ, was released on the 30th. So it's been roughly 7 days, exactly 7 days as of today, as of the recording of this audio tape or video, what have you. And, if you've been led here, please, and you like what you hear, please hit the like button and make sure you share it, subscribe. That way others may get the word of Yah and be able to proceed or understand what is going on. And what's being illuminated right now is the Achilles heel of regular white folks throughout the United States of America, which has shown itself throughout history. This is the issue, and probably the core issue, as to why their upper class, their nobles, their royalty, their aristocracy, the elite of them continues to get away with such horrific things. It is because of their either cowardice and or their what we call the frozen state that they seem to lock themselves in when they're having to confront the devil doing of people who have sworn to protect them and to feed them and to clothe them and to make things as right in the way for them. There have been many iterations of such a thing, with the last being the strongest of this thing of called white supremacy. And how does it manifest itself? How does it manifest itself right now? Right now, these people, with the release of the Epstein files and many other things like their photographs and just the of course the emails and newspaper clippings, there's a lot of stuff in there. It's actually quite hard to kind of look at. You have to pull away because the energy that's in that is still demonic. It's still flowing, it's still active, I would say. So you got to really protect yourself, especially if you're one of Yah's chosen people. You really got to protect yourself. Only the Spirit will tell you when you've seen enough, and be willing to back away and put some breath and width in between your viewing moments within those files. But what I can see here is right now, today, this country is not being torn apart by these people. They're not out in the streets tearing the country apart. And yesterday, I asked the Most High why. I'm like, they were, and I'm talking about white men and white women of all ages, they were willing to get out there in the streets for immigrants, willing to pound the pavement and just walk, right? When they can do so much more, by the way. But they were willing to get out in the streets for immigrants. But right now, it's nothing but crickets. And I don't know about you, but it's an eerie feeling. It was like yesterday, I just realized, like, yeah, they're not out here just really. I mean, these are the people that are well armed. They have militias and everything else like that. And here you have where where they're government officials, super rich and quote unquote super intelligent people, damn near all of them have engaged in these rituals. And it's with young teenage girls, elementary girls, and there is real talk about there being babies involved and that there being sacrifices and things like that. Um, there are a couple of pictures out there where showing the little ones being, um, being maltreated. I'll just say that. And it's almost like there's a frozen thing going on right now. And I don't know, as Black folks, have you guys felt that it seems like these people are frozen, like a deer frozen in the headlights. Um, and I asked y'all, what is that? What's going on? And the Yah Most High put into my mind about what is his name, Mr. Addicts, um, Crispus Addicts, and that he was the first man to die in the Revolutionary War. And I thought that was odd. The picture that they show is a painting of his death. The Most High, being that he was at that point, he was a slave, right? And as they say, and the Most High put it in my spirit that's not the whole story, and they're not really telling the truth about it. And the Most High gave me a vision through reminding me about the Lord of the Rings, and that moment that white men in particular show when there's a battle between good and evil. They always show a white man standing up to a horde of a more powerful army and standing there courageously while everybody behind them is backing down. And so when Lord of the Rings, there was a showing of that with Aragon, um, and there was actually several showings, different times where he and the king of Rohan and the dwarves, they were there, and the king, they were holed up in the castle, and the orcs were bashing and trying to really get in, right? They were outside the gate. And the white king, said, how can we fight? Something to the effect of, how can we fight against such reckless hate? He was losing courage, which is basically what that was. And Aragon turned around and said, we ride out and meet it. And so he was there to strengthen the royal house, that strengthen, even though there were less in numbers, to strengthen their resolve in order for them to face the battle, even if it meant their death, and expecting that it would meet their death. And so eventually they got on their horses, and they, the dwarf went and blew the horn, and then they opened up the gate, and he went out first, Aragon. He went out first and started just fighting with all his might. And of course, if you watched it, you know that Gandalf came in with his army, and they went in and crushed the orcs, who they made black. And but I think that there was a piece of that truth as an illustration of what really happened to Mr. Addicts for during the first battle for the Revolutionary War. The painting is not the correct depiction. I'm surmising that man, they were all afraid, all the white folks behind them, who were basically just, some of them were part of the aristocracy, but most of them were just your average everyday Englishmen. I think that they were petrified to go up against the king's men. But Atticus, whoever he really was, and I believe he may have been royalty, had to show courage, and I believe he went in first. He went in first and drew the first blow. He ended up losing his life, but the spirit of him moving in that way covered everybody else to get up their courage, and for the white man to begin to fight the British army. There's another example in the Game of Thrones, and there is one where you have during the Battle of the Bastards with Jon Snow, where he's out on the field, and Bolton, I believe Ramsay Bolton, was coming in again. The same type of visuals was coming in with all this horde of this stronger army, and and many of you have seen that iconic post again. John was all dressed in black with his hair pulled back, and you see him from behind where he pulls out his sword. There's no one by him, and he's standing in front of that army, and he strikes. And I really do believe that that is really what is recalling what really happened on that day that Crispus Attucks actually died. Because they show him in the pictures where all of I guess like George Washington and all of them are all around him, and he just so happens to die first. But no, I think that what we're going to find out, especially with the resurrection, which is why it's so important that that happens, we're going to find out the true story, which I believe the elite know, is that he ran out, is that that man showed courage, and that strengthened the rest of the regular white people. And I think that's also why am I saying this? Because I think that's what's going on right now. I think that they know the truth, that they are too afraid, I'm talking about regular white folks, of taking on the aristocracy that is doing this to their babies, and that they know that they're being brutal with them, no matter how many weapons these people have in their homes. And I've been in a few homes of regular white folks where there's always a room or a garage where they just have all kinds of weapons. All kinds of weapons. But when it comes time to put pound for pound, and you got to stand there on your own, the trueness of it is the fear that comes over you. And so you're not able to face these ones that are of the royal bloodline that have been anointed by Satan, and which is why you keep calling us to come out onto the streets. I think that is showing our sitting down and not participating in these illegal immigrants or immigration rallies. You got two hits. You got a woman that was unalive and a man that was unalive, and now it seems like. And now with the drop of the Epstein files, I can feel it in the air, the shock. But you are not, the justified response would be for you guys at this very moment to be tearing this country apart. That these people who have done this should be petrified and already hiding in their bunkers. But they're not. And I ask the Most High, why that is, what goes on, what is the paralysis that's happening, what is the psyche, the emotional clip that's happening. So yesterday I was reading from a book called When God Was a Black Woman and Why She Isn't Now by Joseph R. Gibson, and on page 102 it talks about the environment in which the European comes out of, and it's the second paragraph, and I'm just going to read an excerpt from it. It says, however, this is all contrast to the Northern Cradle, a cold, harsh, forbidden environment. So this man was giving a synopsis as to why the Europeans are so aggressive and so hostile in nature, and why they do the things that they do to one another and have done to the world. And there have been many scholars that have talked about this, but let me read on. So in hostile nature, forbidden environment, hostile to crops, but supporting a nomadic lifestyle with a premium on herding, which is farm animals, fighting and raiding skills as small nomadic bands competed with one another for water, forage, and livestock. It goes on to say, therefore, masculine attributes would have been highly prized in this setting, and women poorly suited to these pursuits in that part of the world. I added that part, but let me read on. would to a large extent have been reduced to procreative vessels concerned exclusively with domestic chores. Male status would have been prominent because the life way would have put a premium on competitiveness, and individuality, leaving little room for the development of broader, more cooperative social structures. The northern cradle would have given rise to the patriarchy as well as the male supreme deity. Okay, so why is this so important? Because and there's more in this book that explains, it goes on to state how primal that became for the masculine. And so whoever was the strongest became the king, became royalty. And everybody else fell back because you could literally be the expectations that this person is strong in the way that they are because they are good at unaliving people. And in this case, Europeans. And so when you think of the armies of the royalty or the elite, the fallback position for these people is that they cannot be conquered. And that's why all of you are quiet. You are afraid of them. You fear them. And you fear them, and it doesn't matter how many weapons you have on you. That fear of these people, of the Bill Gates of the world, of the English royal family, the Prince Andrews of the world. There's the Rothschilds in the world. There is an innate fear of them that paralyzes you. And because this is not the first time, what we're finding out is that what has been going on for hundreds of years with this particular culture, and that they came into us, to America, to Africa, with this on their minds. This is not something that they just developed. This is something that they were doing. This book goes on to kind of touch on how having children was not looked upon as a thing of wonderfulness, but it was looked upon as a burden because of the scarcity of the supplies of food sources, and being able to live in a way that your very life would be comfortable. And so to add mouths to feed, to add bodies to keep warm or keep alive was not looked upon as favorable. So which goes into how they are dealing with the children, and they very young, how they interact with them, and so it really ultimately what it homed in on for me was why with the first person dying was a black man, whom I think probably was royalty, or he was definitely a warrior at the least, and he was willing to go in by himself if he had to. He was the Jon Snow of the beginnings of America, definitely for the Revolutionary War, even though white supremacy and white lies have told a different story, as if his death meant nothing but just somebody's portrait on the wall, which may or may not be real. All I know is that as far as we are concerned, as descendants of American slaves, we stand up to these people, and we stand up with little to no weaponry. We stand up and we believe in a most high God because we know that Satan is in that other army, and it's in that advancing demonic posed people who have been in power for generations, going all the way back 500 and more years, maybe even 1,000 years, uninterrupted rule. I know that the English royal family claim that they've been in power for over 1,000 years. You don't do that because the populace of people are courageous. You do that because you know that they're scared of you. And so you can do all these awful things, but they won't challenge you in the way that would bring about a just and ardent world. And so that's the reason why you need us. You need us because your very survival depends on it. It's not the other way around. We don't really need you, but because the creator of the universe is the loving and just God that she is giving you this little small opportunity, if you even want to call it that, for the survival of you as a race, as a species of man. So I suspect that one of the founding fathers, maybe two of them, realized that they could not do this alone. They could not have the army of Europeans face the king's army at that time during the Revolutionary War, that they wouldn't buy into it. But they put up black men in there, and they knew that that courage and that fight would cause the rest of them. And at that point in time, slavery really wasn't transatlantic as it ended up becoming. It wasn't, there was still some, there wasn't that color consciousness. It really was about the character of a person. So, anyway, you need that even now. And this is the reason why you have to come to us. You have to come to us, and it ain't for just marching in the streets. Like I said earlier, that I have been in at least 3 homes, white people, starting when I was a teenager, where you guys have stockpiles of all kinds of stuff in your house, all kinds of stuff. You were saving it to use it on us. That's what you're really saving it for. But we're not the devil, and we're not the enemies in the way that you have allowed these people to make you think it is that we are. And so, no, you need us more than we need you. And so, but no, you're going to have to come here. You're going to have to come before us, and you have to bust down on the knees, because you as a species, you are in danger of going extinct and part of that is because they're literally dealing with your children in such a violent way. They're dealing with your children in such a violent way, and they're taking the prospect of you recreating yourselves and building up your population numbers. And so clearly you're too afraid to go after them yourself. So yeah, you're gonna have to take some commands and some authorities by people who, even if they have to stand on their own, they'll be willing to do it. And you need that spirit to cover you when you do go and seek justice. Personally, I don't think any of you will be motivated to, because you look at these people as if they are God. These white folks are your God. Your God. And it's disgusting, because what kind of God is going to do the things that are detailed in that man, in Epstein's files? What kind of God are you guys serving? And there's nothing that we can say, and there's nothing that we can do. I'm saying this now because the Most High has enlightened me on it. And so, as one of the Most High servants, it is my duty and my honor to be able to have this illuminated for me. But no more getting from us what is needed to produce justice for free. And marching in the streets is not going to be enough. No more of that. Other means are now will now have to be employed, whether you like it or not. Otherwise, you can perish. Again, there are other races of people who have gone extinct, and you are in the process of doing that now. They are literally feeding off of your children. But it may happen for you as a race of people. It may happen. I mean, you're really looking at that, especially with the record that you have left on this planet about your dealings with the children of the Most High, which also has to be answered. The only reason why the Most High would let you anywhere near the Lord's great army, is that, of course, your service and your willingness to produce, to humble yourself, to bust down on that knee, and to take orders from the anointed of Christ's kingdom, and to do exactly what they tell you.